Welcome back to my channel. I'm doing an unboxing for this Netgear router. This is the N600 Wi-Fi router by Netgear. It's about £50. Get it from Curry's, PC World, buy it online from various places, eBuyer. And basically this is it's not a ADSL modem, it's an actual Wi-Fi router. So you've got a WAN port and you've got LAN ports as well, which I'll explain more details in that in a sec. I've got this to plug in to my router, so I've got as like a private firewall, and we're going to show you how you can set up the ports to forward the WAN ports, which is the internet side, to an internal PC. If you're doing it for gaming, in this particular scenario I'm doing here, I'm going to be forwarding some of the ports to an actual server that I built on one of my other previous videos, basically. So I'm going to show you how to set this up, so it's quite straightforward. So let's have a look what's in the box. So let's open it up. So you can buy this as an ADSL 2 version. So if you wanted to replace your BT router with something a bit more better and advanced, then it's worth, you can do that, because sometimes BT restricts their routers, or some can do that. So here we go. So what we get in the box. So let's open it up and have a look inside. So nice and easy. This is the N600 model. It's dual band and obviously Gigabit ports on there as well, which is good. And it's quite very easy to set up. It does HD streaming, multiple HD streaming, online gaming, email chat, surf, music, blah blah, all that sort of scenario. Comes with one LAN port, which is the internet side, and then you've got them 4 LAN ports, and they're Gigabit ports as well, so you want to be nice and super fast on your network. So what do we get in the box? We've got a quick start guide, so, and then we've got Netgear's disclaimer, blah 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 shit, basically. So it comes with one Ethernet cable, comes with one power cable. Okay. So I'm going to put one in the bin as I go through. And it comes with one stand, like so. And then we have the main router itself here, and the rest is empty. So move it along. So let's get inside. These routers getting quite lightweight now. It's all just plasticky. So I'll take the cover off the top. We have a nice shiny, brand new shiny router. See how shiny that is, because the lights are it's lovely and shiny. So what we've got here, you can actually mount this on the wall. It has holes in the bottom there, which you can see, so you can actually have it physically mounted on the wall. Let's get it out of the way. It's got Netgear on the front here, and on the back we've got a USB port there, so if you want to share out a USB cable or modem, I think it might even be for sharing a printer out and stuff. You've got the 4 Gigabit ports here on that side there, and this yellow one is the WAN interface, which is with the internet side. So if you're running like a cable modem, you can connect that directly in the back of the cable modem, or if you want, if you run a router and you want to have like a private network, as still having your BT router, you can use this port as well, and then it creates a brand new isolated network and stuff. One power socket, on and off button, and you've got some reset buttons here as well. And underneath we have all the Netgear stuff. Gives you the router's login details, like what the basic router login details are, and it also gives you the serial number, and you also got the network key, which is on here as well, network key, and you also got the MAC address and the serial number here, and the Wi-Fi network name, which is their SSID number here. All routers are standard, basically, comes with all pre-configured now, which is pretty safe because they come with nice secure keys, so everything's all locked down standard. So there's nothing wrong with plugging this straight into your network, and away you go. Brilliant. And then you can use those settings on the bottom of here, because they're all unique to each individual one sold through Netgear. So that you won't get anybody with the same ID number as this one. So you can keep those standard, or if you wanted to, you can program this up and change it to your own set of keys if you wanted to. or if you wanted us to participate in the same wireless network as other routers on your network itself, then you can log in and change these settings to match what you currently already exist, and this becomes a bit more like a wireless repeater as well, which I can show you those details very shortly anyway. So I always stick with Netgear because I always find Netgear's pretty robust, pretty good, and 50 quid sitting on the network, this will do the job of isolating my server off my main network and forwarding the ports from the internet side down to the server, so I can have remote access to my server remotely, nice and easy. So yeah, so keep this plastic cover you take off, because it also has a copy of your key details on here, so keep that in a safe place if you're going to use existing keys on there. As you said, you can mount this on the wall, so it's nicely out the wall, or you can actually mount it with a stand, an upright stand. So this will plug in at the bottom, work out which way it goes round. There it goes. So it slides in the top like that, so you can have it upright. Upright like that if you wanted to, sitting up on the shelf, or you can actually not have that, you can just have it sort of sat there sitting down on the shelf. So it's up to you how you want to put it. So it's quite straightforward, nice and easy. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a laptop out, we're going to rig the laptop up so you can watch the screen, and we'll log on to this router and basically show you how you can configure the router. So all you need is a laptop or a PC or a Mac. Take the Ethernet cable, plug the Ethernet cable in one of these gigabit ports, the other end into your laptop or your Mac, plug your power line cable in, plug it in, and away you go. So as soon as this boots up, it will default to a DHCP address, so it automatically will give you an IP address. And the default, I'm not sure it's written on the box here, but it gives you the router's login bit. You need to type in a URL bar, or if you know what the IP address is this is default, which normally is like 192.168.0.1, something like that. It will show you. But I'm going to show you how you find those details, how you can log into this and make your setup basically. So I've already got some pre-configuration, so I've already got to know what my static IP address is going to be for this port here, and I know what my internal network details are as well. So let's get on and let's log on to the router. All my details are set up on the router. We need to configure it for my network. So I've got an internal network here. So that's my internal network address that I'm going to need to know, and these are my external settings that I need to configure. So this is what you'll get from, sorry, let's go right. This is the internal addressing there, sorry. Get the way around. Okay, so these are various details. I'll go through each one anyway and explain to you. So this is the details I need to set up my WAN port. So what we'll do is we'll call this the WAN interface. Okay, which basically means wide area network. So that's the internet side of things. Okay, and then I use the LAN, which is set up for the local area network, which is the internal addresses, so it's private basically. So this is basically normally called public network, and this is normally sort of associated as in like private network. So public is always internet side, private is always the LAN side. So it's just various things they use. So my Netgear is plugged in, it's all powered up, my Mac is connected in the back of the router. There's no internet on the router, it's just literally connecting directly to the router. So it has a default address of 192.168.1.1. So that's the default address of the Netgear. They're all the same basically. All the Netgear range are very similar, the same. Some routers may start with 192.168.0.1. In this case it's 1.1. So once it's finished checking the network connection, it should then give us the option to run through the setup. But we're going to miss this. I'm going to set the connection up myself, and then this should take us into the main router's interface. So here on the bottom of the router there's a label, and it will tell you what the login name and password is, and on these typical routers they're always admin and password as all lowercase, so it's admin and password. So because we haven't got internet plugged into the back of the router yet, it can't check to see if there's actually any updates for it. These normally can pre-install their updates automatically for you, which is pretty unique, pretty nice, these ones are. Other than that, normally you have to download it and then update itself. So first of all we need to Well, let's see if it actually does work. So let's plug in the internet on the router and we'll see if it does run a quick update, so we can check to make sure the firmware is the same current firmware. So I'm just going to plug a cable into the WAN port and hopefully it'll give us connection to the internet, and then we should be able then to check to see if there is any updates for this particular hardware. Any routers you purchase and buy, they're normally been in stock for ages, so they're always considering literally loading the latest firmware, because it gets rid of lots of bugs, and also it actually gives you improvements too. So this should, I think, automatically detect. Let's just refresh it for a minute, see if it actually finds it. Yeah, it says internet good now, so it should then go in to see. I wonder if we can force it through. Normally, when you log in for the first time, it'll do it. So look at advanced setup, and somewhere here it should show you. Maybe it's administration. Yeah, firmware updates, and here you can actually say check, and it'll self-check it. So this will now log on to Netgear's own servers to see if there is an actual new firmware for this box. So we'll quickly check. I've had a quick nose. Let's just test in a sec if it is or not. These are nice routers because you can. It will do this automatically for you, so you know it's going to grab the latest one. So every now and again, if you log into your router, it'll automatically run through this setup process and to let you know if there is a new version. So check the new version for the internet. Obviously it hasn't found a new version, because if it did, it will give you the option to say, would you like to upgrade to it? But obviously in this case there's no latest version for it. Okay, so we'll get back to where we were. So we're back to the beginning. We can unplug the internet on the WAN port side now. We don't need that. Disconnect that now from there. Don't need that on there. And just quickly do a refresh, and it should show me the WAN ports. It's been disconnected. Quite straightforward stuff. So right, so we need to, first of all, we need to set up the WAN interface. So we click on the internet tab, and does your internet connection require a login? No, it doesn't. So don't need to worry about the account name or domain name for it. So it says get dynamic IP for the ISP. Nope, because we've got a manual one. Our ISP is giving us a manual one here. So we click on use static IP, and then in the IP address box we're typing what the IP address has been given. So this router has an IP address of 194 74 255 and 100 with a subnet mask of 255 255 255 192, and the gateway address for this one is the 194 74 255 and 65. Okay, and the DNS servers on here, I would assume they are this number here, 194 74 255 and 64, and I think the other one is same address again, but 26. Okay, so all these details will come from your ISP. They should let you know what your static IP address is, subnet mask, default gateway. These are really essential. You've got to have all these details to hand, and this as well. Use the root MAC address as default. We're happy with that, and we'll click on apply, and it should now save this to the router's WAN interface. So that's that bit done. So let it save. Then the next bit we need to set up is the LAN interface. We need to make sure our router's configured. In this case, we don't need it to be configured as a DHCP server, because I have a server internally that is running as a DHCP. So we'll disable it on the router. But if you're doing this for your own network, then it's a home network, then you won't need to worry about the DHCP. You'll leave that exactly as is on Netgear. but I'll show those details anyway. The DHCP is basically allows it to assign IP addresses to all your devices on your network, whether that's an iPad, iPhone, computer, Mac, laptop. The router needs to know which IP address to give it to. If you've got it switched off, that basically means you have to set them as static IP addresses internally, which can get confusing because you add the two devices to the same IP, it will cause a conflict. It doesn't always show up, but it will make it intermittent, either work or it won't work for the internet access. So you got to make sure every device, like laptop, iPhone, iPad, needs to have its own individually IP. So that's what the DHCP does. It assigns them out, so each device is unique. It won't actually assign the same one out to the same two different devices. It doesn't do that. So on this side here, we're going to click on Attach parent guest network. No, we want that. That's internet setup. Go back to home. Now we click on the advanced tab. Here it gives you the basic settings, router information, so it shows you firmware, GRA language, then LAN ports, and the IP address. So that's the IP address of this router. We need to change that from 1 to 254. The internet port shows it's a fixed IP, and it won't show those settings just yet because it's not connected. These are your wireless settings for 2.4 gigahertz. And then obviously this is the wireless settings for 5 gigahertz, and you do have a guest network on here that you can also set up, and the guest network allows you to have other people connected to it, but you can actually stop it from connecting to any devices. So it's a bit of a safety feature. So on the basic side, I'm just going to go to the guest network, and we're just going to make sure it's actually disabled. So take off enabling SSID. Same for that one as well, and then we're going to click apply, and that should then basically disable the guest network, which I don't want. Guest network does treat it as a completely different network. It gives it a different SSID out, so you can actually use that for visitors that come around that you don't want to have full access to your network, only to the internet side. So you can say they can use that SSID and stuff. Good way of segmenting untrusted devices off your network. So back on the advanced one. So on here we need to set up the LAN inside. So we're going to click on setup, and we're going to click on LAN setup. So the LAN setup here comes default. So this is the pre-configured by the manufacturer as 192.168.1.1, 255, 255.0. And this is the DHCP router. So this was basically saying it's going to give an IP address out starting from 2 right up to 254. Okay, but because this is specifically unique for my network, I need to change this. But obviously, for you guys that are just doing it for your own internal network, leave that as is. Okay, and leave the LAN IP address as is. You won't need to touch it, but in my case I need to change it, so I need to make sure that's on 254, and for the moment, so I can still keep a connection, I'm just going to mirror this to what the internal server is, just to make sure it actually gets configured that way. So we click apply, and then it should then reset my route. The router will now reboot, and then it'll give my Mac another IP address in this range. It should give it like 192.168.1.60 it should give. So now this has got a new IP address, which is now picking it up. And we'll just see. So my Mac should be on 1.6 address, 60, sorry, or maybe 61. So let's have a look. Let's pick it up. Here we go. So admin, and remember password to log in. You can change this at a later date to make it more secure. I'm going to change that in a sec as well. Come on, it's picking up. Don't know whether this problem. Just check if my Mac is picking up an IP address from the router. So just check it. So connected. There you go. See, there 192.168.1.60. Given the default gateway is 192.168.1.254. So that's the router itself. So that's good. So just wait for this to log in. Let's open and close the screen. It's going to get a bit confused. There you go. Admin password. That's bad. Right. Okay. So click on the Advanced tab, and then on here it now shows you the information. So the guest is off. The wireless setting normally is on, which is good. And it's now showing. We go setup, then we go land setup. It shows it's now set to 1.254. That's perfect. So the other thing I need to configure on here as well is the guest network is disabled. Wireless setup is fine, which we don't need to change any of this. If you do want this wireless to work with your already wireless devices, then you can change it from this point onwards. You can make sure the SSID is broadcasting the same name as your own wireless network, so make sure it's identically the same, and type in the passphrase that's also on your network, and then they will work together as like a repeated network basically. Most of this stuff you don't really need to worry about, but I need to forward some ports to my internal servers I have here. So click on the Advanced. We need to do port forwarding, port triggering is basically, so firewall basically. So I want to put forward HTTP port to an internal IP of 192.168.1, which is to my Exchange server. I also need to point. I need to customize something, so we need to say add a customized service, because 80s is standard in there. So come on, add. Okay, so I need to call this one SNTP 25, and it's going to be the external port range is going to be 25. And the internal port range is going to be 25. It's going to be pointing to a mail server I have internally, which is set up as 1.1. If the server's on the network, it will show a list of them basically here, like it's showing my iMac here, but obviously I haven't got my server switched on yet, so it's not showing up. So I'm just going to add it in there. So I can click on apply. I'm going to add another custom port, because mail on here also works on a different port number as well. I have 2 port numbers for that, so I'm going to call that SNTP 2525. So I know what it's called. Internal port numbers 2525, external is the same, and that's the same IP as 1.1. Click apply. Okay, now we need to set up another port, custom port. So if you're running gaming servers and stuff, then this is how you would open a port up on your firewall. So external is your public side, and your internal port range is your internal side. So you would label it like I'm doing here. So this is going to be my terminal. Actually, let's just call this TS 3389. So the external port is going to be 3389. 3389. Internal port is going to be saying that's going to be pointing at 6. Okay, click apply. So same with a gaming server. So on the gaming server, let's just go back and just recap this very quickly. On the gaming server, you would type in, like say for example, gaming serve, or you can shorten it if you wanted to. You would find out whether it's TCP or UIP, which so on your gaming server, if you look up your gaming server details, it will tell you what port numbers you need to open on the firewall. So you need to open same port number on external as well as internal. You can sort of like map ports. So you can say inbound from the public side, the internet side, is going to be say for instance port 3000, and then internally you've changed it for security reasons. You can actually specify a different port number for that one, and then obviously you click on the IP address, or if you see the list on the side here, you can sort of click on it like so, and it'll pick that up for you anyway. And it supplies that, and that way it shows you here we're forwarding all the internet traffic coming in from the internet side to my server, internal server. We'll also inbound mail that's actually destined for port 25 or 2525 is pushed to my internal server here again, and then my internal server inbound connection from the public side to the internal side on 3389 is forward down to here. So you can have lots of different custom port mappings going to different various things. If you're running a business and you've got various different internal services, whether it's internet, email, exchange, remote access, or any other sort of device you need pointing a public IP to in the internal IP, this is where you'll do it. This is how you do it basically. So that's more my firewall port set up. Anything else is default in here. Traffic meter, you can set this up for like bandwidth limited. So if you've got a lot of bandwidth, you want to segment it down, or prioritize it. This is where all this sort of stuff comes into. And USB settings, remote management. So this allows you to remote manage the router outside the network, which is basically on the public. So if you're at home, you need remote access into it. This is how it's done. And you can turn it on. So for this case, I'm going to turn remote management on, because I need to be able to access this from anywhere. And you can actually customize, say, only allow access from this computer or a range of IP. So if you'll be connecting on a fixed IP for somewhere else, you can actually physically put that IP address in there. So this router will only allow that connection with that IP address only. But because I'm going to be connecting with all different places, then I need to make sure it's got everyone on that. So I'm going to click on apply. This is the default. Gives it, so you got to know what the network public IP, which we know, which is this one here. That's going to be that in that address there with a port number of 8443. So that's how we're going to remote manage it. Static routes. This is only when we do some sort of really really weird custom stuff. So for basic stuff, we'll leave it as VPN services here. You can enable if you've got inbound VPN or outbound VPN, or looks like this actually. Yeah, this is it, VPN stuff. Direct DNS. Direct DNS basically means if you've got a domain name assigned to it, you can set that up as well. Wireless repeater wireless. We'll go into these sort of details another time, because obviously this is how you set up a wireless repeating unit box as well, so you can increase the wireless signal around your building. Wireless access points. This shows you how. This is quite good actually, because it shows you how to connect this up. So if you've already got an existing router, so this is what you do: is you do it on the external Ethernet cable down to your internal port. So, and this is how you make this into a wireless access point. Quite straightforward. Advanced wireless settings here. This is how you sort of change settings, but everything here I would leave as custom, as standard. Don't need to change anything like that. Administration router status, logs. So it tells you what the router's doing, when it's last time had the firmware upgrade, when some accessed it, and vice versa. These are things you can sort of include in a log file as well. So anything specifically you want to track or trace, you can turn certain things off, leave the rest of them on, and it'll start monitoring. So it's a good way of sort of diagnosing stuff. Attached devices. This will give you a list of what's attached internally. So you've got like iPads and iPhones. You've got various PCs around the house or around your business. This will give you a list of them as actually using this router, so you know where they're coming from. So backup settings. Once you've got this set up as we just have, you can click on backup, save it to like a text file which then at a later date, if something happens to the router or you change the router out, you don't want to go through adding all these settings in which we've just done. You can load your text file back into it and it will restore the router back to as it was. Set passwords. So this is where I'm going to change the password. So yes, so the password currently was password, so you put the old password in, and we're now going to set up with a new password. So I'll just quickly do that now. That way it makes it a bit more secure. And click apply. You can actually set up password recovery as well. So just log in with the new details now. Bang her in. So you can actually enable this. So enable password recovery, and then here it'll give you certain security questions. So it's quite good. So if you do forget what they are, you can set up security questions for it, which is quite nice. So a new feature. Firmware upgrades. So this is where you check for firmware upgrades anyway. USB storage. This allows you to plug a USB hard drive or a USB memory stick in the back of your router, and this is the way you can sort of share it out. So you can have like an external drive turned into a network drive. It's a cheap way of doing it basically. Advanced settings here, so there's different ways of or you can say that hard drive connected is a media risk server as well, so you can stream films and things like that off of it. So yeah, so there's various bits and pieces, such new features in there. It's quite straightforward. So this is now basically set up as I want it to be set up. There's one option I need to change on this, which is under setup Lan Interface, because my network already has what you call a Dhcp server already assigned. We need to turn this one off here, and now I need to click apply that, and now my router's ready for my network. Straightforward. That's how you configure it. So we've configured ports on the firewall. We've set up the internal LAN addressings here that we need it to be, and also now assigned it with its own public internet IP on the WAN or the wide area network side of it. Straightforward as that. If you've got any questions, guys, please remember always subscribe, comment below basically any questions you have, and obviously thumbs up on the video if you like the video. Please do, if you've got any questions on the routers, no matter what questions they are, please comment below and I will respond to them as quick as I can. And I'll set up a support email address soon, so if you do have questions and answers on any of the stuff I'm doing, please do email in, because it helps me to sort of create what I need to do next for you guys, or what you guys are actually looking for. So if there's a particular issue you've got, I'd like to know about it. So again, comment below, and once I've got this email address up, you can email all the details to me, and I can start working on new videos for you guys to help with your problems and stuff. So thanks for watching, guys. Thanks to all the new subscribers, and see you on my next video. Cheers.